Good morning and welcome back to my channel. It's Saturday the 19th of July 2025 and it's just after 9 a.m. Kicking off this morning with what's for the basket. It's something really simple, but a lot of people in my group have been saying how good it is, and it's the Asda pink slaw, pickled pink slaw. It's £1 a jar, and one lady in particular in my group has been recommending it to everybody, so I thought I'd put one in the basket this week. And I'm only going to one group this week because I have other commitments, so that's for the basket. Right, word of affirmation, universe, and we'll get round to why in a while. I want to talk firstly with some regard to the changes in group, although my group hasn't changed yet. My consultant alluded to it on Tuesday, but then wasn't really 100% sure of what she had chosen to do, and so we kind of had a normal meeting. I'm saying quotes kind of had, because although we did still go around the room and we talked about losses, it became a bit more of a sort of open floor, and people were talking a little bit more than we sometimes do about, well, what I'm going to say was trigger food. I'm not quite sure how these meetings are going to go, so don't quote me on any of this. Don't say Jane says, because Jane's not saying. Jane's quite confused. We had more people speaking from the floor, shall we say. But I'm not sure. We were supposed to be discussing something from the magazine, which was about surfing cravings. But that opens up all sorts of talk, which then I felt led towards triggers. And I think there's a place for trigger foods that we need to learn to understand and appreciate how to overcome them. But I don't think there's a place in group for listing trigger foods. So often when trigger foods raise their ugly head, we go to talking about chocolate. Now for some people that is a big problem. And I'm one of those people, or should I say I was one of those people. I don't crave chocolate today. I don't entertain chocolate today. I don't think about chocolate today. We don't go down the chocolate aisle in the supermarket because we never need to. But when somebody brings it up in group, it doesn't take me back to a place where I want it or I need it, but it does take me to a place of, Jesus, do we need to be talking about this? I'd far rather talk about what's in the magazine when it comes to new healthy extra choices or new foods that have been added to the sins list on the app or whatever. Because in my mind, that's so much more useful than talking about whether or not you can get different chocolate bars that don't come in packs of 4. That's not for me. That is really not for me. Now, another thing that concerns me, and this is about me, I'm very verbal. I am very opinionated. I know that. And I do see in group that there are other people like me. I'm not the only one. There are other people who are passionate, have strong feelings about group. But I can see a place where we are going to take over, and the quiet people in group are just going to sit back and listen, or sit back and put up with us. Because I don't think everybody's got the same confidence and volume. I don't think everybody's got the same faith in their ability to work the plan. Or even if they're target members, the confidence to say, this is what I do, that's what I do, this is what I believe. I think we're going to have to be very careful, and I'm talking about me as well as other people. We are going to have to be very careful in group not to dominate, because it opens the floor up to those of us who are louder and prouder and more confident in working the plan actually taking over. And I found the thought in my head all week of going into group next Tuesday, I need to zip it. because I don't want to fall into that trap. And I could so easily. When I hear people sharing things that, you know, I think, well, that's not really what we're taught at Slimming World. That's my opinion. That's not what we're taught at Slimming World. Do I have a right to actually say it in group, or should I keep stum? When I hear people quoting sins and getting them mixed up or confused or just plain wrong, should I speak up and say, well, actually, no, they're not 4 sins, they're 5? I found myself saying something on Tuesday, and then I was a bit sorry I'd spoken afterwards, when the previous week a consultant had said in the group that the new Healthy Extra B Choice wraps, that the brown one was Healthy Extra and that the white one was a Healthy Extra plus half a sin. And of course the group take that on board, but it's wrong. When do you speak up? Come on, somebody tell me, when would you speak up? When would you keep your gob shut? Because I'm not very good at keeping my gob shut. I don't want people to go out the meeting with the wrong information. But it's not my place to put them right. And I'm not always right. And I don't know it all. But this is a passion for me. It's really important to me. Now, I can't use the Lifeline online. I can't read any of the books in the pack. I have access to the podcast fortnightly because I can't access the one on the Lifeline online. I am restricted. I can't read the recipe books, but that I'm not sad about because I wouldn't use them anyway. But all of those things, so I have to learn the information and I have to retain the information. Unfortunately, because I've been blind for a good many years, but not always, because I used to be fully sighted, I have developed the kind of memory that can retain information. And I'm a Virgo. We're very analytical. Joe will tell you sometimes that can drive you mad because I remember every little detail. But with regard to my Slimming World journey and my Slimming World life, that's really important to me because I've got to be confident in what I'm doing because I can't just flick a book and look it up. So in group, if I hear people getting it wrong, do I say, well, actually no? Or do I just keep my gob shut and mind my own beeswax? I'm going to find that quite difficult. I'm also very conscious that being blind, you know, you have this supposedly, I mean, we haven't been told yet, hopefully we will be on Tuesday, you have this thing where, put your hand up if you've lost this. Oh, for God's sake, I'm sorry, but I'm not a school child. It's been a long time since I've sat in a class where I've had to put my hand up. I don't like that, I'll be honest with you. We're grown-ups, treat us like grown-ups. Let's all take ownership and responsibility for what we're doing on this plan. We are not children, and if we are children, we shouldn't be in that room listening to grown-ups talking about food problems, which is, take me off on another tangent, one of the reasons why I don't like people bringing their kids to group. Children are sponges. Joe, who's behind the camera, when he was 4 years old, I used to drag him to Slimming World. I used to give him his Game Boy sitting in the corner and think he wouldn't take on board any of it. He didn't miss a thing. I used to take him to church every Sunday morning and he'd sit in the corner of the pew somewhere with his Game Boy playing away on Pokemon or whatever. But you know, when I came home from church, I'd be telling my husband about the sermon. He could join in and say, no, Andrew didn't say that, he said this. He knew the blooming sermon. I didn't. Children don't miss a trick. They're smart. Their brains are growing, they're developing. I don't think there's a place for kids in Slimming World meetings where we, as older women, or sometimes younger women, because it must be younger women to have their kids with them, or grandmothers who are bringing their grandchildren during the school holidays, where we are talking about our problems with food. Kids don't need to hear that. Kids do not need to have somebody tell them that what they get on their plate or in their crisp packet or whatever can be a problem. It's a no-no to me having kids in group. Babies, yeah, because they're irrelevant. They're not irrelevant. That's not the word I meant to use. They're not going to soak it up like a sponge, are they? But I would say from 2.5 years upwards, they do. And that because they're learning, Because we're sitting there saying, this is good food, this is bad food, this is on plan, this is off plan. The child is learning, so it's taking all that in because it doesn't think, oh, I shouldn't be listening to this. Anyway, that hasn't happened in my group yet, but I am conscious that school holidays start on Monday in our area. But how did I feel walking out of group on Tuesday? Frustrated. Because I don't think, and it's only my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with image therapy per se that we couldn't cure by just having consultants tighten up on what people are saying. My old consultant Naomi, who you know I love the bones of, used to say if somebody went off on a tangent giving a great list of I ate this and I ate this and I ate this, Naomi would say, well, we get the gist, we don't need the list. That could be a trigger to somebody else in this room. And that is so, so true. Just somebody picking up something that can just knock you off plan as easy as that. I was aware this week of something, and I always used to wear Angel perfume. And I wore Angel perfume because my mum's next door neighbour, Janet, who I was friendly with, came in one day and she had this perfume on, and I said, wow, I like that. What is it? Oh, Angel by Thierry Mugler, she said. Now, Janet smoked Marlboro. I used to smoke Marlboro. And it was the combination of the smell of that perfume and the Marlboro fags that did it for me. Lovely. I can still smell a Marlboro at 100 yards. But this week, I was getting ready for group on Tuesday. I went in my cupboard where I keep my perfumes and I found 2 part-use bottles of Angel. And I thought, I really ought to use this up. It's such a waste. So I used Angel. And as soon as I sprayed it, because I don't spray it like on my skin, I spray it around me. As soon as I sprayed it, my head went, that needs a Marlboro. I'm back to thinking about fags. I haven't smoked for years. Gave it up. Glad I gave it up. And it's actually easier than giving up food. But those old memories from that smell of perfume, wham, straight back into my brain. And somebody talking about something in group that would be a trigger for me or any of the other 20 odd people or however many people have stayed this week can equally be that thing that when somebody has been on plan for weeks and weeks and weeks, somebody only has to say one food or one substance and wham. Now I was interested this morning about 4 o'clock, I was watching Luke John's latest video. It was his weigh-in result. If you get time, go watch it. I'm not saying anything about his weigh-in results, that's not my business, but what I am saying is he came out of group on yesterday morning, Friday morning, feeling exactly like I came out of group feeling on Tuesday morning. But it made him eat. Now, it didn't make him eat outside of his sins, but I'm sorry to say it, Luke, and I'm going to say it, it didn't make him eat the perfect breakfast. You were within your sins, but was it what you would have chosen to eat if you hadn't been frustrated coming out of group? Because your video really spoke to me at 4 o'clock this morning. Really spoke to me. Powerful stuff. Also want to say, Lisa and Rufus put a video up last night, which is related to Slimming World. It's their, gosh, I can't think what they call their series, but it's their Friday night video. Extra Helping. Best video you've ever done, guys. Really, really appreciated that video. So again, if you got time, go watch it, please. But group this week, I came out thinking, part of me wished I hadn't even bothered to stay in. That's not to criticise anybody else who was there. That was about me. That was about me. So, yeah, we'll see what happens on Tuesday when we go into this new way, when we have the changes. But in the comments on last week's video, I've had some positive comments about the changes. I've had some negative comments, and I've had people saying our group's not changing. So, we'll see. Right, Joe, quickly, what are my next headers? ABC. ABC. This has been on my mind all week. I'm hearing a lot from a lot of different areas about that people want rid of the word sins. I love it, S-Y-N-S, don't bother me at all. What's in a word? It just means I've got 15 of them and I spend them as I want, and I usually spend most of them. It doesn't stop me working a plan. It doesn't have a negative connotation like S-I-N-S would. I don't know why we make such a big deal of it. I've even heard a consultant say recently it's time they got rid of the word. But do you think if they didn't have that word, if they called it something else, do you think we would find it any easier? Or is it just another one of our handy excuses? I can't work this plan, I can't work this plan, I don't like that negative word, that word makes me feel bad, that word... For God's sake, let's all grow up. But let's say they are going to take away the word sins. What would you have instead? I mean, a lady in my group said treats. I said, that's what got me here. That's what got me to 22 stone and needing to lose weight. I think treats would be totally the wrong word, but what would you use? Anybody got any ideas? Anyway, I was thinking about it. What is Slimming World made up of? It's made up of healthy extra A, healthy extra B, free food, free speed food, as I seem to like to call it now. I just call it speed food, and sins. So if you've got to change it and you want to simplify it, why not healthy extra A, healthy extra B, healthy extra C? So I'm putting it out into the universe. If you must take away sins, and please, I would prefer it if you didn't, because I just like the way it ties in the synergy. What about healthy extra A, healthy extra B, healthy extra C? I'll still call it sins in my head, but that might help some people who can't get past the word sins. I'm quite happy being a sinner. Anyway, I wanted to put that out there. That's why the word of affirmation this week is universe. I'm putting it out into the universe. Let's see if I'm really, really interested. I'm more interested in if Slimming World are going to do that, what they're going to think about changing it to, than I am in them changing the meeting. My attitude about changing the meeting is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They think it's broke. They want, from what I've heard, they want to take more off the people who've had a gain, more off the people who haven't had a loss. My thing is very similar to what Luke says in his video, accountability. I go into group and I have had gains on this journey, even though I've been 100% on plan for probably 400 days plus. I have had gains. I think I've had 4 or 5, half a pound, and I've had a £1 gain. That doesn't mean I wasn't working the plan properly. That doesn't mean I was a failure. That doesn't mean I should be ignored in group. What it means is I should be accountable. I should take ownership. That doesn't mean I've done anything wrong. But what it means is I should be able to say with confidence in that safe environment, I've had a gain this week and I don't know why. Can anybody offer me some help? Now they might come back and they might say, well, I'm thinking particularly of Claire Aberbresse. She started to weigh in on a Saturday instead of a Monday. So last Saturday when she did her weigh-in was only 5 days from her previous weigh-in, and I think she got a maintain. So there you go. I've had a maintain this week, Claire could say, and it's because it's only 5 days since my last weigh-in. And that's a positive thing then, that turns it around in your head and you can see why. And like Shell says in her video, I've had a £0.5 gain this week, but that's because I am trying to slow down my weight loss. Didn't exercise for 4 days because of the weather, and I can see why. So it's still a positive result. We need to be able to do that in group. If we start ignoring people who have gains, then we're paying them a disservice, and we're saying in my head, you're not as valued as the losers, go away. Don't bother staying to group if you've had a gain. It doesn't feel right. I want to be encouraging and be as supportive of people who've had gains or maintains as I am encouraging and supportive of people who've had small losses, big losses, whatever. Everybody's on their own journey. We should not be comparing, but we should be encouraging. And we should not be judging, but we should be encouraging. And how can we encourage somebody if they have to sit there like Billy No Mates? They don't get an opportunity to put their hand up like a good little girl or boy. And I think it splits it into, well, hey, you lot did well, and oh, they're also rams. Am I being too hard? Maybe it doesn't work like that, but it feels like that. It feels that if I make the effort to go to group and pay my £5.65 and sit through that meeting, because I've had a gain, well I say anyway, but because I've had a gain, I'm going to sit through that meeting, I'm going to go out of here fired up to do better, fired up to work out how I had that gain, but I get ignored. Or is it not quite like that? Am I reading too much into it? Anyway, my results this week. Went to group, got weighed, lost £1. Happy with that, fine. So this month so far I've lost £2. I've got 2 more weigh-ins. I could cope with 2 maintains. I could cope with a £0.5 gain. My goal is to lose £1.5 this month. So no pressure on me at all to perform. I can just keep eating the way I am eating and enjoying my food. And eating plenty of it. Loving going to the gym, loving walking, just loving life. I feel so blessed. Right, what else did I have on there, Joe?
The last one was look up.
Oh yeah, at the gym this week, one of the things that Joe kept telling me in a very positive manner was look up. Well, you know when you're blind, yes, you know look up means you're going to lift your head up or whatever. But I'm not looking at anything, so I sometimes forget. So he'll say to me, and he'll use the expression, just look above the horizon, or whatever. And I'm like, why? Why do I need to look up? What's wrong with what I'm doing? And he said, go on, say it, because I get the words mixed up.
Because it'll lift your thoracic spine up a bit, it'll extend your thoracic spine a bit.
Right, and I should know this, because my nephew is a thoracic surgeon in Australia. The thoracic spine is the top end of your spine, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that why your spinal things are T something?
Yeah, and I tried asking you to lift your sternum up and you couldn't do it.
He said, lift your sternum up. I said, I can't, my boobs are too heavy. I just can't even physically think about how to do that. I don't think it's something I've ever done.
But when you lifted your eyes, it kind of
set
everything in place.
Because he kept saying, lift your sternum. I know where my sternum is, but how do you actually physically lift it? But when he said, look above the horizon, it automatically lifted up.
Yeah.
He said, you're doing it. You don't even know you're doing it, but your thoracic spine lifts up, which then enables you, if you're doing pushing motions for your chest, or what was the other thing I was doing for the chest, where I have handles there and push them.
Like an incline press.
Incline press. But those things, it enables you to push from the right places. And oh my goodness, when I did it properly, because I got my eyes above the horizon and my thoracic spine lifted up, I really felt it in my chest. Whereas when I've been doing it previously, I was just feeling it in my front delts.
Mm.
Yeah. It changes it dramatically, but I'm still saying to him, God, if I come to the gym as a sighted woman on my own, how would I know all these things? But I suppose that's where YouTube comes into play, isn't it? You Google it or you look it up on TikTok or something. But yeah, I'm learning new things every day at the gym, and I'm really, really enjoying it. We're off to the gym very shortly, but here today, we've got the window open behind Joe, and it is so humid. You can feel the humidity coming in the window. I can feel myself starting to glow. It's going to be a hot one, I think. Roll on a few thunderstorms. But yeah, great week on plan, thoroughly loved my food, found a new one in Aldi this week. It was a tub, a 400 gram tub of chicken barbecue pasta, like a chicken barbecue pasta salad. Really, really nice. And the whole tub is 5 cents. Now you can go in and look at coleslaws and things with mayonnaise and everything on them, and they're a ridiculous number of cents. But I actually tried that one. I added more chicken to it and more speed food. But the basic pasta barbecue chicken salad is really nice, and it was $1.99. And the other thing I had from Aldi this week, I generally buy Alpro vanilla yogurt or Alpro plain yogurt. That's soya. in Sainsbury's, and this week it had gone from £2 to £2.30, but they didn't have either of them in stock anyway. And I did my usual rant about the bloody prices in this country. I'll tell you another one in a second. So when we went into
We're
Aldi...
at 25 minutes.
Okay, Joe said Aldi do a vanilla soy yoghurt, 99p, and I like it better than the Alpro one. And the other thing was, did you ever think we'd come to a place where you have to pay £7.50 for 3 kitchen rolls? Not even big ones. I can't work out where this country's going. Anyway, rant over. See you next week. Bye.